Hi there, Serial Trader here. Just want to do a quick check on CGC and also weed. Now, this has been a very tricky stock to try and play with for the better part of this year. Uh, Basically, ever since we had that peak here in February. So I won't go into the longer term wave count as I've done that in previous CGC videos, and that's definitely still in play. But we have a significant bottom here, and that was in the December sell-off. So our bottom was December 24th here for CGC. We had a very convincing impulsive wave up in what I'm calling intermediate degree wave 1, and it peaked out in early February at 51.81. Now since then we've had a very difficult pattern, and it doesn't look difficult now that it's essentially formed, but as it was forming, it was tricky. So we had this A down, triangle B, C down, and that was certainly a good entry, at least temporarily, for an initial wave A. And then we had a nice move up, broke the previous high, certainly looked like we were off to the races, but it basically failed just after breaking out and bled down, and now making some new lows. So basically, you trapped all the bulls buying the breakout there, killed them. Now it looks like we're going to likely trap all the bears selling the breakdown, and then kill them as we come up in potentially a third wave. Maybe not right away, but in the not so distant future. So a few things to comment on. So just some Fibonacci levels, doing a retracement of what I'm calling this initial wave 1. So obviously that 50% retracement provides some good support until essentially today. And now we're in between the 50 and the 618, and we could really bounce any time at this point. And wave C of 2 looks very mature, should be completing fairly soon. So some things to point out: we have a MACD bullish divergence. So the MACD moving averages, despite making new lows in price, we're not making new lows on the MACD moving averages. And certainly on the daily time frame, that's significant. RSI on the daily, a slight bullish divergence here as well. So here on RSI, we made a low of 30.81, and then we're making a higher low so far at 32.78. So bullish divergence there as well. What else to point out here? I don't want to go into the shorter term time frames because I don't want the video to be too long. This is just supposed to be a quick heads up. But what I will do is just bring this little graphic up. So this is kind of a textbook ABC expanded flat Elliott wave correction. And that's again where you have a 3-wave move down in A, a 3-wave move up in B that makes a new extreme, then fails, and then a 5-wave move down in wave C that goes below the extreme wave A, and then terminates, and then you turn back up again with that larger trend, which is still to the upside on weed and CGC. So this is looking at this structure. It doesn't look like a triangle, doesn't count as a triangle. It's not a zigzag, and it's not a regular flat, but looks like an expanded flat. Fits the bill quite nicely here. So thought I'd point that out. Also on weed, so CGC was uplisted and is now basically the most liquid issue. But for a long time, weed was the better chart because CGC was just TWMJF, which was a OTC listing, so its quality wasn't as good. So it's good to look back on weed as well. And if we do that, if we look at where weed, now this is the same pattern obviously on weed as it is on CGC. Of course, this is in Canadian dollars, but that's the only real difference. So other than some currency fluctuation and that sort of thing, you're looking at the same chart. So on weed, we're very nice and oversold here on this daily RSI. It's at 28.72. Previously here, when we got to 28.46, we had a nice bounce there. And then here, when we were at not even below 30, but 32.44, we had a very nice move up from there. So if you look back at the history of weed, whenever you got down to this level of RSI or close to it, you typically had a pretty nice bounce up, and in many cases, not just a bounce up, but a strong trend up. And we're just about as oversold as we have been in a very long time, certainly weeks and months here on weed. So I thought I'd point that out because even though CGC isn't quite as oversold on the daily RSI as weed is, it's still good to look at that weed chart and see that it is in fact extremely oversold. Now if I go in here, I'll just quickly do this. 4-hour chart on CGC, we are getting oversold on 4-hour RSI as well. 2866 on that. Also a slight bullish divergence on 4-hour RSI and 4-hour MACD. If we go to the hourly chart, very oversold on the hourly. We also have a bullish divergence on the hourly MACD moving averages. So technically everything is lined up here for at least a strong bounce, if not the potential of a new trend in what I'm anticipating to be a third wave up. But first you observe the bounce and then see what it looks like. If we get a little 5 waves up off the bottom in a bounce, then we can be confident that the trend is likely turn back up. But if we just get a 3-wave move up in a bounce, then we might need to go down again. But at this point, we're looking for at least some sort of short-term significant bottom, and then we'll observe the action after that. But this is really when you want to get long on something like this. Do you want to chase it? Do you want to buy up into the hype when everyone thinks it's just the best stock in the world, or do you want to buy it near the lows when everyone thinks it's over and the sky is falling? I'll let you decide, but these technical tools are certainly more reliable than going on a Twitter message board or stock tweets and seeing all the ridiculous things on there. So I'll leave that with you, but buy when the sativa oil is running in the streets, to change the phrase a little bit. All right, Serial Trader signing off.